Here is a repair suggestion that might work for those of you who need to replace a damaged center stringer. And the reason for that would be because it would be difficult to slide a new stringer into this position. However, I don't know if it would be impossible to do it. And of course, it would be a little bit easier to replace a stringer that's located on the outside of the stairway, because you could simply remove it, pull it out, and then slide another one in. And of course, that could be another option if you need to replace an outside stringer and a center stringer. So if you do need to replace a center stringer, then you're probably going to need to cut it in half, or in some cases, you might need to cut it into thirds. However, if you can avoid cutting it into more than 2 sections, that's probably going to work better. And of course, this will depend upon the damage to the stringer, because we're going to use the stringer to create our next stringers by using them as a pattern to create the next stringers. Another thing you will need to do will be to remove all of the nails that are being used to attach the stringer to the stair treads and risers. And after that is done, you can remove the stringers. And again, try to be careful removing them so that you can reuse them to trace the next stringers. And if for whatever reason you cannot reuse them, then I would suggest going to our website and getting a little more information on what you would need to do to create a new stair stringer. However, let's hope that doesn't happen and you can reuse the stair stringers by placing them on top of a board that would match the width of the lumber. And in our example here, we're going to use 2x12, and we're going to use a piece that is a little bit longer. However, you don't need to do that. You can always use shorter length lumber if you need to. And like I said, we're just simply going to trace the existing stair stringer or the damaged stair stringer so that we can create 2 individual stair stringers that we can bolt together or even nail together or even use screws, whatever you think will work for you, to create the stringer we're going to use for our repairs. And by cutting these 2 sections right here, it will make it a lot easier to make this type of repair than if, for example, we cut the stair stringer to where it had more steps. And that might make more sense if you look at this right here, the first stringer that we install. And if you're having problems installing it, you might want to cut a little off of the bottom and then slide it into place and then use some shims to raise the stringer if needed. And if, for example, the bottom is tight, but you have a gap here and a gap here, you could always insert some shims or shaped lumber. For example, if there was a 1/4 inch gap here and you had a 10-inch long tread and your stair stringer is 1.5 inches wide, you could always cut a board that's going to be 1.5 inches wide, 10 inches long, and 1/4 inch wide. And I would strongly suggest using adhesive if you can, where the top of the stringer touches the bottom of the tread. However, I could see where that might be a little difficult to do. So a piece like this shouldn't be as difficult to install as a piece that would continue up with the treads and risers. In other words, this stringer right here would be shaped to where it would be providing additional support for these steps. And I'm not about to suggest that you can't do that. Just be prepared to deal with some problems if the stringers aren't cut correctly. In the next step, we will be installing the upper stringer. And you can see here where this board is going to extend a little bit longer. And you could always extend it to the bottom or near the bottom if you want to. Just keep in mind that we will be fastening these 2 boards together with either nails, screws, or bolts to create a stair stringer that is going to be strong enough to replace the damaged stair stringer. And like I said, you could use screws or nails if you think that's going to be fine. Or you could drill some holes and install bolts through the 2 stair stringers. And this would be my preferred method. And again, you could always bolt it together and then install some screws and nails if you were looking for a little more structural support. And keep in mind that this repair here could also be used for other types of stairs using notched stringers that might be shaped a little differently, especially where the top connects to a ledger or a floor or a landing and might be shaped differently, or the bottom connection is shaped differently. And of course, the last thing you will do will be to install new nails or screws. And the nice thing about this repair, if you locate the stringers correctly, you won't need to use the old nail holes or screw holes, allowing you to create a better connection. And if I did my job right, then you should have a new stair building repair tool for your do-it-yourselfer or carpenter's toolbox.